China is trying to ban its neighbors from fishing in their own waters. Taiwan's military carries out massive drills to prepare for the worst. And Donald Trump keeps sanctioning China. And more on this week's China News Headlines. Welcome to China Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark. Whenever you go online, you really should be using a VPN, like Surfshark, to cover your tracks and protect your identity. I'll tell you more in a bit. The United States has been handing out near daily new sanctions against Iran, and, unsurprisingly, it's impacting China. Is Oprah in charge of the Treasury now? You get a sanction, you get a sanction, you get a sanction. On Tuesday, the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned more than 20 companies it says helped move Iranian oil to China. And on Wednesday, the Treasury Department announced a new wave of sanctions targeting 6 individuals and 12 entities involved with Iran's development and production of ICBMs, including a number of companies and individuals based in China. The State Department has said that Iran continues to rely heavily on China to support its destabilizing actions in the Middle East, which means that the sanctions will probably just keep on coming. You get a sanction, you get a sanction, and you get a sanction. Speaking of reasons to sanction Chinese companies, U.S. energy officials have found unauthorized communication devices in Chinese solar power inverters. So I guess it turns out that everyone who's been worrying about this possibility for years isn't in fact a conspiracy theorist. Kind of like everyone who said a coronavirus that started in Wuhan may have come from a lab studying coronaviruses in Wuhan. I miss the days when conspiracy theories weren't just common sense. Let's bring back the time cube. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, Chinese solar power inverters. Those are sometimes referred to as the system's heart or brain. Theoretically, anyone controlling the inverter could bypass cybersecurity to remotely interrupt or disconnect the supply of solar power. My God, does that mean China can blow up the sun? What's that, Shelley? No. But China could remotely shut down the system, which can lead to blackouts, power outages, or other damage to energy infrastructure. And China is a global leader in manufacturing these inverters and damaging infrastructure, intentional or otherwise. Similar devices were also found in batteries manufactured in China, because China will put a communication device in just about anything. Just to be safe, before I eat a plate of lo mein, I always whisper, "Suck it, CCP." The officials didn't name the exact manufacturers of these products or specify the number of devices found, but the Department of Energy has said they are reassessing the risk posed by Chinese-made devices like these. I'm sure the Chinese Communist Party would love to use these to unleash mayhem, should it, say, need to distract the U.S. from dealing with very pressing issues. But since this is obvious, I'm sure I'll just be called a conspiracy theorist for saying so. Speaking of things that are obvious, talks with China are not helpful. Despite talks between China and India over disputed turf, the CCP keeps giving New Delhi more grief. India is rejecting China's latest attempt at renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh, or as China calls it, Zhangnan. Beijing announced Chinese names for 27 places in the region in total, including 15 mountains, 4 passes, 2 rivers, a lake, and 5 areas that are uninhabited, except perhaps by yaks. India called the move vain and preposterous, and said such attempts will not alter the reality that the area was, is, and will always remain an integral part of India. The Chinese Communist Party claims the region is part of southern Tibet, which is yet another area they illegally occupy. And this is the 5th time they've tried to rename things in the area. But as is usual with the Chinese authorities, they claim the renaming of these areas is within their sovereign rights. Hey, you know what? If the CCP says they can do this, then why not me? Today I'm officially announcing China will be renamed West Taiwan, which you can celebrate with any one of these China Uncensored exclusive West Taiwan t-shirts, hoodies, or travel posters. Get yours today, link is below. But the CCP's quote-unquote sovereign rights don't stop there. China is imposing a fishing ban on its neighbors. This annual moratorium is supposedly to help fishing stocks recover after several months of activity by South Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese, and Vietnamese fishermen. But if you think something smells fishy, you're right. The CCP is not known for being environmentally friendly, especially when it comes to fisheries. Come to think of it, I could have just stopped after saying the CCP is not known for being environmentally friendly. So really this appears to be an even bigger land grab, sea grab, than the 9-dash line. The moratorium zone is infringing on the waters of Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, and South Korea, and includes disputed territories such as portions of the Yellow Sea that belong to South Korea, Japan's Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea, and, well, we all know about the South China Sea and Taiwan. The fishing ban is meant to last from May through September, which would mean a huge hit to the fishing economies of China's neighbors. I'm sure that's totally by accident and not an intentional move by China to harm its regional rivals, because China's as good of a neighbor as the vampire in Fright Night. Now technically the fishing ban would affect Chinese fishermen too, but according to the state-run Sanya Daily newspaper, these fishermen can take advantage of local government subsidies to learn new skills and pursue other forms of employment. It's like that old saying, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, stay out of our waters. If you're hungry, get a different job. China #1. Now, honestly, it would be really challenging for the CCP to even enforce this ban because while China has a large maritime force, this geographic area is enormous. In addition, China's neighbors are pushing back. The Philippines and Vietnam have loudly condemned this quote-unquote ban for a long time, while the Taiwanese Coast Guard released this image of one of its cutters expelling a Chinese fishing boat from the waters near the Pratas Islands. Because in China, you feed a man for a lifetime if you teach him how to fish illegally in other people's territory. Taipei urged Beijing to rein in illegal fishing activities carried out by Chinese nationals in the area. Illegal because they're in Taiwanese waters and in a maritime reserve and violate China's own fishing ban. But you know how communist governments are? Do as I say, not as I do. And after the break, Taiwan holds huge military drills and China isn't happy. Welcome back. Beginning earlier this week and continuing through the end of June, Taiwan will hold a series of military and Coast Guard exercises around the island. I'd point out why they feel the need to exercise, but I'd hate to spread more common sense conspiracy theories. These drills are especially critical because they're testing very advanced equipment that could deter or severely damage any Chinese invasion, such as the Tianqian-2 Beyond Visual Air-to-Air Missile, which the island developed, and most notably, the HIMARS system, which has been used to deadly effect by the Ukrainian army in its fight against Russia. Yes, nations are watching other nations battle with their equipment as a sort of proxy battle. It's like a messed up game of Pokemon. Ukraine, I choose you. Taiwan's test of HIMARS system has proved successful. Taiwan currently operates 11 HIMARS platforms and is set to receive another 18 platforms by next year. China isn't happy, of course, the same way hunters aren't happy when their prey fights back instead of just laying down and saying, "Come take us, we've always belonged to your stomach." So they're conducting their own series of military drills in the Indo-Pacific around Taiwan. 36 PLA aircraft, 8 PLAN vessels, and 2 official ships were detected operating around the island, with Taipei monitoring the situation. 17 out of 36 sorties crossed the median line and violated the Taiwanese air defense and identification zone. Because why limit yourself to just trespassing in the water? But China is also carrying out its 7th annual Golden Dragon joint military exercises with Cambodia. How many more drills do they need? They have more drills than a dentist supply warehouse. The drills, which first started in 2016 after Cambodia canceled joint drills with the US, began on Wednesday and will last through May 28th. This year's Golden Dragon exercises are also expected to feature more troops and advanced military equipment than the past few joint drills. They're taking place at Ream Naval Base with 845 Chinese and 1,300 Cambodian personnel. Ream Naval Base is now a China-Cambodia Joint Logistics and Training Center after China funded base upgrades, including a new pier. A spokesperson for China's National Defense Ministry said the exercises will focus on joint counter-terrorism and humanitarian and disaster relief operations. Ironic, since the CCP itself is a disaster area. And did you know that every time you go online, everything you do is potentially compromised? And that's why the people at Surfshark created a VPN that keeps your internet activity private and secure. If you're not taking active steps to protect yourself, everything you do is being tracked and logged by the websites you visit, your internet service provider, and often by your own government. Using a VPN makes you harder to track. Surfshark has servers you can connect to in over 100 countries, more than any other VPN. That includes a server in the British Virgin Islands, where the law allows companies to not log user data. So stay safe and check out Surfshark. With just one Surfshark account, you can connect as many devices as you want. It also comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to surfshark.com/uncensored and use the code uncensored to get up to 4 months extra. The link is in the description below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.